I want to welcome everybody from the US across the world to this live webinar about SAT and ACT. And we're very proud and very lucky to have with us Mr. Richard Bahr, who is the academic director at Jefferson Academics. Jefferson Academics is a specialized institution that prepares for SAT, ACT, among other types of tests. And Richard's going to be with us today because he's going to be helping us understand important tips on how to prepare for these two tests. All right, so first of all, Richard, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Okay, great. So SAT, Scholastic Aptitude Test, and ACT, American College Testing. Those are the two tests that you have probably heard. They are required by every college, and in most cases it could be either one. All right, you're not going to hear a school that says it's going to be only the ACT or only the SAT. So either one is acceptable. The first tip that we want to talk about, Richard, we want to talk about how important it is for a student to familiarize themselves with the test and basically understand how the structure of the test is, all the instructions on the test, and the types of questions that the test has. Because Richard, what I have seen over the years is a lot of kids get surprised by the time they show up at the test, they're relaxed, they think they got it, and then they don't understand how the test works and they get a bad score, not because they don't know the subject, it's because they don't know how the test works.
Absolutely. The two exams differ significantly in structure. And some students do better on the SAT, some do better on the ACT. And one of the points we'll get to in a few minutes is about how it's necessary to take both as a diagnostic at the beginning to figure out where you stand in aptitude. But to give you a quick summary of the structure, with the SAT, you have verbal, reading and reading comp and writing and so on, and then math. In the ACT, you have an extra section of science reasoning, which is a bit odd. It's not really asking for your knowledge about advanced science concepts, but it's how you reason with science. The length of the exams is comparable. They're both about 3 hours, and they both have an essay component where you have to write an essay and so on, and the essays are generally deemed less important by schools. The calculator issue is important. You can use a calculator on the entire ACT. On the SAT, you can use it in parts of it. There's two math sections on the SAT. One allows calculator, the other doesn't. So finally, in the scoring system is on the SAT is up to 1600. That's the highest score. 400 is the lowest, whereas the ACT is up to from 1 to 36. Those are the general structural differences between the exams.
Okay, great. So the basic message to everyone is you should prepare basically for both. Take both tests the first time and you'll identify which of those two tests you feel more comfortable with. And with that, then you could prepare more in depth for the second time and just take it for one of those two tests. The second tip that's very important when talking about preparation is practice tests. And practice tests should be done in full length, which means that the student should take the test just exactly the same way the test is offered. Use a timer, and then after you finish with the test, check your answers and review which answers you got wrong. So then when you prepare for your next test, you know which areas you are weaker and which areas you don't really have to spend much time. So do you guys use a lot of practice tests? How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. And we work with a lot of student athletes, whether it's professional equestrians or tennis players, what have you. And one of the analogies we make to student athletes is that it's a lot like athletic training. So if you're preparing for a marathon, you don't run in just sprints. You have to build physical stamina, right? In this case, we talk about mental stamina. So the taking of the practice test allows you to sit in a very clinical setting where you can't move, you can't text, you can't get distracted, and you build that mental stamina. You realize how draining it is to sit and take this exam for 3.5 hours with a small break. And repeated exposure to the practice tests, not only with a teacher, but also on the actual test dates, the formal test dates, builds that stamina, makes you better prepared. And there's data to show that the more you do these practice exams, whether it's, again, with the tutoring company, or more importantly, in the actual center, on the official days. The more of those you do, the better your performance. It starts going up.
By the time you get to the test, you feel that you have taken that test 4, 5, 6, 7 times already, so you feel more comfortable with the whole process.
Think of it like athletics, the way you train your body.
Correct.
The mind has to be trained for these long endurance mental exams. Okay. And it doesn't help that in this day and age, our attention spans, all of us have decreased. We text a lot, we read articles quickly, and none of us are anymore used to sitting with a book, for example, for 2 hours, reading it in one stretch. So part of the art of test prep is making students learn how to do that, at least for this one effort.
Then there's the PSAT. That's another good idea for it. The PSAT is a practice SAT test that is offered when you are a freshman, sophomore year. It allows you to get an idea of what areas, what's your estimate target score once you know where you're standing and how you prepare. So the PSAT is one that's highly recommended. The ACT doesn't have an official practice test that's offered by the schools, but you could go online to the ACT website, and there's enough practice tests for that. We talked about taking both tests, and you talked about the differences. And that's very important, because maybe if you're not a strong student in math, you understand that SAT is 50% math and 50% English, correct? So you're taking 50% of one area where you're weak. In the ACT, you're divided in a third math, a third science, a third English. So maybe the weight on math and English is not as strong. So if you're a strong student in science, maybe the ACT is a good test for you. But again, we go back to the same thing. Take both tests, see how you perform, and then you could focus more on that one test where you feel more comfortable. Great. Well, listen, Richard Bahr from Jefferson Academics. If anybody's interested in getting more information how to prepare, what do they do? Where do they go?
You can go to our website. It's jeffersonacademics.com. We also have a YouTube page. There's actually a video there of our education services for athletes specifically. And you go to youtube.com/Jefferson Academics.
Well, that's great. And if you're interested, college sports is a wonderful opportunity. If you have a child, or you yourself are an athlete and you're looking to compete, go to universitysports.com and you'll see a lot of resources, and contact us from that webpage for any questions you have. Richard, I want to thank you for your time. That was great,
thank you, buddy.
Great valuable information, and we'll continue in touch.
Okay, I hope to see you in Florida.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Take care. Thank you. We thank you, and hopefully we'll be able to help you with this topic.